Good afternoon. Hope you're doing really well. Welcome back to Primal. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today I'm going to cover some gentle stretches and mobilisations for the forearm. It's very common these days. I see lots of tennis elbow type injuries, golfer's elbow type injuries, and lots of tension in the forearms and wrists related to lots of computer work, driving, gripping jobs, manual labour and so on. So it's very important that if you do these kinds of jobs that you regularly stretch out the muscles. I myself have to do this because of massaging people all day long. The key with these stretches is if you have an injury, be aware that, for instance, with a tennis elbow, which is a very common injury, I often find that although the tennis elbow will be in this area here, just in this area here, if I tense my arm, you can see where all the muscles come into one point. This will be an inflammation of the tendon. If that's a problem in itself, just a tennis elbow, then yes, you can just ice it, rest it and stretch it. However, in many cases, what I see is a tear in the muscle further down as well, which has often led to the tennis elbow. So in my practice, I will often treat this first and then work more specifically on the tennis elbow. Bearing that in mind, if there is no tear of the muscle and you're okay to stretch, then what we want to do is we really need to be playing around with every angle for the forearm. So there's a number of ways you can stretch. The classic one is just to flex the wrist and stretch the arm out. Now you may get a stretch just doing that. However, what you may need to do is turn, as you can see there, the elbow so that the inside of the elbow is facing out. Can you see that? So we're going to stretch and then we're going to hold in that position. That will give you a more intense stretch. To make that even more intense, we would actually turn the hand in. So as you can see there, I have my hand facing that way. So my wrist has turned in, my fingers have turned out. And then we can just stretch in that position. And then once again, we can increase that by turning the middle of the elbow, the inside of the elbow, out to face forward. Now what I'm doing as well is I'm supporting my wrist and stopping it from turning. So it's almost like a corkscrew effect through my elbow. This will give a very deep stretch. Be very careful, don't injure yourself, especially if you're unsure if you have any kind of tear in the muscles in the forearm, because you do not want to worsen this issue. This is for the extensor muscles on the back of the forearm. For those suffering with more tension in the flexor muscles, we want to go the other way. So we're going to bend the forearm backwards and we're going to stretch, extending the arm but not hyperextending. Just there, as you can see, a nice stretch on the arm. Then we can modify this in exactly the same way as we modify it with the other ones. We can turn the hand the other way. As you can see there, it's still an extension of the wrist and therefore still stretching the flexors. We want to go, if we want, inside, and we can go the other way as well, which for me that's quite intense, that's quite a deep stretch. So as I say, it's as soon as you feel the stretch is when you want to hold that position, not force it. For mobilisations, very simply, we can just stretch the hands. As you can see there, just stretching the fingers. We can also gently mobilise the wrists. I'm not one for moving the wrist like that. Often you can get a lot of clicking and clonking. If you really want to do that, then be very careful. I just like to turn in and out. And remember, the arms work as a unit, so you may get some mobilisation in the elbow as well if you want to do that. Really nice way to mobilise the arms if they're very tight. I can feel that just here since my workout this morning. You can hear there a little click just as the elbow loosens up. Good. Other things you can do for the hands, people suffering with arthritis or any kind of osteoarthritic type wear and tear in the hands, soak them in warm water at the end of the day, and then maybe for about 4 or 5 minutes, but warm, not hot, and then you can gently stretch and self-massage all the way through the hand whilst it's in the water, or soon after you can bring the hands out of the water, massage. Also working a lot into the thumb. Very important there to work into the thumb. It's a very tender area, so don't press too deep. and again through the other one. If you have someone who can massage your hands for you, that's fantastic as well. And believe me, it's bliss if you use your hands a lot. So if you've got a partner or anything like that, get them either on a course or get them to start practicing on your hands, and believe me, you'll thank me for it. Other than that, it's just a matter of doing these stretches regularly and making it a part of your routine. If you're on the keyboard or if you're using your arms and hands every day, you need to look after them. They will get stiff, they will get tight, and you may get some repetitive strain type injury. So be careful, look after yourselves, stretch and mobilise, and be primal. Take care.